we now have the Battle of TERF Island. It is now going on, and the left have conceived that the TERFs have won.
Oh, excellent. That's another British victory.
Yeah, we had this debate before who's going to win, and I reckon as people who are on either of those camps, maybe it could still fight on. But the leftist approach is that the TERFs have definitely won, at least in Britain. It is the
I love it. The 21st millennium's version of the Battle of Britain is, do women exist?
Occupied Europe has totally been taken over by the racial pride flag.
Yeah.
But this island, TERF Island, as it is called, is fighting on. And that's the left's opinion. So that's I'll demonstrate why. So we'll give this first one here so you can see GB News reporting on some news about Adele.
Yeah.
So after winning the first Gender Neutral Artist of the Year award, just kill me now.
Why?
Stupid. Adele said, quote, "I understand why the name of this award has changed, but I really love being a woman."
Oh, well, that's the speech of an oppressed person.
Too bad, Adele. If you want to be a woman, not on my watch.
We're gender abolitionists around here, Adele.
I'm not just saying that. Not on my watch was definitely a response of quite a few leftists.
Oh, was it?
Very pissed off to her saying, "I love being a woman." No. We don't do that here. We don't enjoy.
I love the way that metaphorically this is literally Adele firing cannons across the channel, right?
I love being a woman. Bigot.
Boo.
So we go to the next one. We can see some of those boos in real time. So as Andy noticed here, a lot of radical leftists are angry that she said being a woman's pretty cool. So you can see someone here saying with a quote, and then so I really love being a woman, and then someone else being like, "Please no, Adele can't be a TERF." That last comment, though ambiguous, could be perceived as turfy. Please no.
You're not allowed to enjoy being female and a woman now.
Yes.
Wow.
Being a woman is not allowed.
And I get told that I'm the misogynist.
There's also the funny thing about, Caitlyn Jenner says, "I love being a woman." Stunning and brave. Fantastic. Yep. Adele says it. TERF bigot.
The enemy.
A woman says it. Another type of woman says it. And no, two different responses, which is why they're both
Very
women.
Interesting. Yeah. That's
Indistinguishable.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Which is why we know how to distinguish our response.
Excellent.
So if we move on from this, we can also go see that we are all TERFs now, boys, in this island.
For pink news.
Yeah. So as you can see, Council of Europe compares the UK to Russia and Poland over virulent attacks on LGBT rights.
The Allies, as we like to refer to them.
Dobre tak.
Against the axis of evil.
Yeah, so
it literally is that.
The Council of Europe,
it literally is.
the Europact, the Reichspakt, the continent.
It's another pact against the Germans and German-occupied France.
We denounce the British, and all they do says the Council of Europe. No. So the Council of Europe compares us to Poland, evil Poland, and the Russians who were fighting on the Eastern Front against this as well. The memes are real.
History doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes.
I wish I brought my Polish armband for resistance. God, it's beautiful. So parliamentarians said that as much as Europe has made progress in LGBT plus rights,
as much as the Wehrmacht has made progress into Russia,
as much as we have pushed into the Lebensraum, hate speech and hate crime have surged. Even though, let's think about that for a minute. So the Council of Europe is sitting around, it's like, yeah, so everyone is free now, all the LGBT people, but the hate speech is up. So, Hilda, got the cafe ready and talk about this. I'm going to keep making hello references at this point. So the idea that the hate speech is up.
Sorry, just as a quick thing, I bet there must be some sort of underground TERF network in the continent.
The French resistance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the TERF resistance.
Yeah. The British airmen.
Yeah. Sending them supplies and morale. Sorry, women are adult human females. Pass it on.
Shall say this only once. Watch your low if you haven't. It's good fun. Yeah. But just the idea that, okay, everyone's free now, but the hate speech is up.
Yeah.
I think about that for a minute. It's like, okay, but everyone's free, but there's more hate speech. Right. How can that be, dum-dum? Like, how can everyone suddenly, okay, all the gays are allowed to be gays in Europe and no one has a problem with that anymore? It's not the 80s or anything.
But why is it that when people weren't free to be whatever they're claiming to be,
there was so little hate speech.
Why weren't
people
hateful against them?
No, in the 50s, no one hated gays. They would never speak it. They just kept it in their heads.
Right, yeah.
It's just like you're an idiot.
People are just too polite.
Yeah, hate speech is really up.
I mean, it's not like what was the guy who invented the code breaking machine who got sterilized for being gay? Turing.
Yeah, he never heard any hate speech.
No,
he lived in a perfect world where no hate speech existed.
Things are just way worse now.
Morons. The report took aim at a bloc of countries it's said to have launched virulent attacks against LGBT plus citizens for years. Hungary.
I feel like I'm literally reading the Rice reports. The British are landing forces in Normandy.
They have fought against the peace of Europe for years, 6 years. Hungary, Poland, and the Russian Federation, Turkey, and the United Kingdom. We're on the same base as Turkey on this.
Yeah.
Anti-trans voices are a direct challenge to democracy. The assembly says. Posey Park is just like, yeah, TERF dictatorship now. This is very much our democracy.
Yeah.
Ours, not yours.
Threat to democracy. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Again, from the Council of Europe.
Yes. Oh, God, yeah. Imagine.
Taking the piss. So they said it also was fueling the stagnation and backsliding in progress. Their aims chip away at LGBTI equality, sexual and reproductive rights, and women and children's rights.
Oh, good. I'm looking forward to hearing him explain to me what children's rights are when it comes to LGBTI equality.
Yeah. There's also the women's rights. What's a woman?
Yeah.
Still haven't solved that one, have we?
Yeah, that's literally the hill the TERFs are dying on right now.
Yeah, anyway. But the reason I mentioned TERF Island, so I mean, we have been referred to in this way by the Council of Europe, who are very mad that we continue our war against continent. And you can see a response here from some LBC host who kind of lost her S in response to this.
The London colony, yeah.
The London colony was very offended. They were like, we stand with our leaders in Berlin.
Yeah.
And so she decided to do this little sermon about how bad the UK was. I thought we'd go through some of it because it was beautiful.
Go on then.
And let's play the first clip where she was saying that we were promised alphabet rule and it hasn't happened.
In Hungary, for example, homosexuality is still illegal. However, what this report noted is that the UK is moving backwards in terms of LGBTQ equality. And I watched a really interesting discussion earlier today with Ben Hunt, who you will remember was interviewed on this show yesterday. And he appeared on Owen Jones's podcast today. And he described being at a garden party at Number 10 during Theresa May's premiership, with a number of other LGBTQ campaigners and key figures and charities celebrating what he described as this dossier of promises on LGBTQ rights that Theresa May's government was set to implement. And since then, those promises have been reneged on by Johnson's cabinet.
How could they do this?
They've done nothing about the Jews. They promised us that they were going to get rid of all those Jews. And nothing has been done.
There's also, I'm starting to feel more and more, I'm glad that we're in Swindon because I can feel the distance here between the high city of London. She's like, yeah, do you remember Ben Hunt? Do you remember us talking about him? Do you recall
the name rings a bell.
Yeah, so he used to be the BBC's LGBT alphabet correspondent and then works for Vice making smears against Kemi Badenoch.
Right.
And he was hanging out with Owen Jones and then she's talking to him about...
Exactly. I was listening to Owen Jones' podcast, says the LBC host. Why would you be doing that if you're not a radical leftist? And they were talking about the high society they were faluting in. It's like, yeah, I'm feeling like I'm a million miles away from you people, thank God.
Like you really are at the high point of the hive city that is London and your little towers.
Yeah.
Like, so we were all having a discussion.
The Reich is occupying Paris and we were there at Versailles. And,
There's also the lie she starts off with there, saying it's illegal to be gay in Hungary. My understanding is it's not.
Right.
It's just an up and lie. There's a really funny aspect of that as well. Do you remember there was Orban? Mm-hmm. There's a member of his party who became an MEP and was campaigning, doing all this stuff as a conservative. Mm-hmm. And then he was caught in a gay orgy above a nightclub at 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
And he snuck out and he was just like, I was just listening to the music. But there were a lot of leftists who were like, look, conservative does gay orgy. Isn't this hypocritical? It was like, no. Well, he's doing it behind closed doors. That's the
literally
complaint.
don't care. Yeah.
It's like, no, I keep my gay orgies in my room instead of on the streets.
Yeah,
very difficult for you to understand. But anyway, so
very conservative.
There's also that lie there. But then she moves on to the fact that she is very disappointed. And as I say, she thinks that the right just keeps winning, just keeps on winning. Let's play.
While she held her role, Liz Truss was described by members of her own department as the Minister for Inequalities. In March of last year, 3 key advisors to her and Kemi Badenoch resigned from the department, and they cited a hostile environment for LGBTQ people as their reason for doing so.
West.
And then last week, it emerged that employees of the EHRC have voiced similar concerns. The Equalities and Human Rights Commission, a body that was set up specifically to advocate for equality and human rights, as their name would suggest, former and current members of staff went to Vice magazine and anonymously reported concerns that there was a similar anti-LGBTQ culture there.
American tanks rolling through Paris.
Yes.
All of our expansion is being rolled back.
But I love it. It's just like we lost here, then we lost that. We lost on Liz Truss because Minister of Inequality. We lost trying to convert Kemi Badenoch to leftism because she's not a leftist. I told you to get lost. Love Kemi. Yeah. And then just we also lost on the Equality and Human Rights Commission. I don't know if we have that. I can't remember if I added it, but it's just them going to Vice and a bunch of text messages the Vice journo got. He put an article. And it's just like, I'm very upset.
Good.
Like,
good.
You should be.
Yeah.
Moving on. So we'll go to the next clip, which is that she complains that we are TERF Island for essentially being anti-rape. Let's play.
Now, of course, on the surface of it, this is all about the so-called trans debate. And did you know that outside the UK, we are known as the transphobia capital of the world? We're often referred to as TERF Island. TERF, of course, stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminist, because we lead the charge globally on demonizing and misrepresenting trans
We're
people.
always at the forefront. First
That's
in,
not a
last
record
out.
we can be proud of, is it? These are what the changes, the proposed changes to the Gender Recognition Act would mean. That it's easier for trans people to be listed as their true gender on their death and marriage certificates. This was turned in the media into a debate about women's spaces. The Gender Recognition Act had nothing to do with women's spaces. We've started to see all of these apparently women's rights organisations popping up all over the place, which strangely never talk about women's rights in any other context than where there is this kind of false tension between cisgender women's rights and transgender rights. That's the only time they want to talk about women's rights. They don't talk about women's safety in any other context other than when it's an opportunity to bash trans people.
Oh, sorry, Sarah Everard. Do we ever talk about that? Does that ever come up? Oh, what absolute tosh that is.
Yeah. There's also just we are TERF Island for not wanting biological men in women's prisons.
Yes.
That's what you're getting at. The women's spaces.
Yes.
And we'll mention it again because I've mentioned, Karen White a million times, but it's not only her. There are a whole bunch. There are the TERF accounts that I follow that keep making like compilations of faces at this point, like the grooming gangs.
It's like the grooming gangs.
Yeah, because there's a funny thing for people who don't know. You can't say certain things about the members of the grooming gangs, as in the common factors. So instead, people just put their faces together and let you figure that one out. And the same thing's now taking place with female rapists.
Basically a quick physiognomy check.
Yeah, you can look at the female rapists' faces and determine how female they are. And as you can see here, the Sunday Times released showing that, despite making up only less than 1% of the population, they are 5% of all the sexual assaults within female prisons. Yeah, moving on. So let's go to the next one, because as she's hit on there, the women's rights debate, as she puts it, well, this is the chink in the left's armor, and this was such a good ground for the right to fight them on, and have won, in her opinion.
Excellent.
Lovely to hear, so let's hear it.
What I will say to you is bigotry doesn't and won't stop with the 1%.
Okay.
This moral panic that has been whipped up around trans people is a chink in the armor of human rights.
Oh.
And people will
Invading
use that
Greece.
chink to take away all kinds of hard-won rights for other minorities and oppressed people too.
We invaded through Belgium fair and square.
So I wish it had surprised me yesterday when I saw a headline in the Daily Mail which read thusly: Has Cambridge University broken out of its woke straitjacket? College refuses to fly divisive pride flag because only its own banner unites the whole community.
Oh, finally.
I'm enormously troubled by that.
Yes!
I was just so downtrodden. And it's so like, I can't believe they've done this.
This is literally Hitler in the bunker getting with lost Belgium. You know?
Fegelein! Der Krieg ist verloren. But also,
It's just great.
the LGBT, the T part of the leftist ideology on gender and whatnot, that is the soft underbelly of leftism.
This is the overextension, though, isn't it?
Yes, and it has been the point in which the right has been able to just smash through because you're talking bollocks. You have nothing to stand on in this regard, and it is evidence. And as we can see by this example that she gives, which is like, well, why can't we just have the racial pride flag flying instead of the British one?
Because it doesn't unite everyone in the college, unlike the college flag, like you just explained.
Dum. This is the story, as she mentions, from the Mail, saying, oh my God, how dare they not fly the racial pride flag. If we can scroll down, John, just so people can see, that is what I'm talking about, which is the one with the pincer movement inside the flag. So keep going until you find the flag, please. As you can see there, which segregates black and brown people.
I mean, it literally looks like an invasion in the gay space.
I know I mention it every time, but we're going to be less divisive by segregating the black and browns. You tried.
But also the trans.
Yeah, but also it's the flag of a ideology, and it's flown over conquered territory.
It's literally a Nazi flag.
Yeah.
That's what a Nazi flag is. It's the flag of a goddamn ideology.
And then we go to the last clip here when she complains, no. The racial pride flag is just about inclusion, my friends. Let's play.
That's
By the
ideological.
notion that the pride flag is divisive.
How could you
The
think
pride flag is a statement. If you fly the pride flag, what you're saying is LGBTQ people are welcome and safe here. You're not saying straight people aren't welcome. It might say straight people who aren't going to make LGBTQ people feel welcome and safe aren't welcome.
Oh, well, so we have got
But
some.
that's a necessary statement to make.
It's just
Oh my God!
It's a swastika. It's just a symbol of German pride.
We're not saying Jewish people aren't welcome. We're just saying Jewish people who object to Germanism aren't welcome.
it's just evident.
But
This is just ideology.
The fact that it's inclusive. Except for those people.
Yes.
We've literally marked out a group of people who are not involved in inclusivity and who aren't welcome, and that's a necessary thing.
They're part of
to maintain the purity of the Reich.
They're part of the exclusivity of our inclusive movement.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
The Reich is impure if those people are allowed to exist.
Yeah. So
That's incredible.
She then goes on to list some homophobic attacks in Bournemouth and Edinburgh and a murder in Cardiff, and then mentions that's why we need that flag.
Yeah.
Like, that
Jewish
doesn't
crimes,
make any sense. Again, the point is you can fly the flag of the college because it is of the college, which is where you are, dum-dum. So
The crime's already illegal, so
makes
what's
no
the
sense.
problem?
So, I mean, these are just ideological flags for essentially authoritarian rule.
Well, it's
And-
a stamp of conquest.
Yeah, I thought quickly, I'm just going to mention the secret police aspect of this as well, of course, because you get informants and people who spy on each other, such as the police. And I think we just quickly end off with this Fair Cop stuff. So as you can see here, this is a post from Fair Cop a little while back saying, in February, LGBT Police UK tweeted, "We see you, we have reported you," at gender critics. Last week, it tweeted, "We stand for Stonewall."
So, I mean, it's literally a Nazi infiltration into the UK police.
But it's the police openly saying, yeah, we are partisan and we stand with the intersectionalists.
Yeah.
Right, you can't do that. That's against the law. You ought to know something about that, being the police and all, but apparently not. So if we move on, we can go to the next one. You can see Fair Cop saying, no, yeah, these are secret police because we tried to contact them and ask who the hell runs it, and they told us bugger off.
Really?
Because we're a community support
the
group.
LGBT Gestapo.
We don't have to tell you. So yes, they are a literal secret police, as Fair Cop found out. And then they were able to then start pinning down who work there through their, investigations, doing probably more investigative work than anyone looking into burglary these days. And as you can see here, they managed to identify one. As you can see here, this was a chief inspector who, instead of inspecting burglaries, is inspecting your thoughts and is very proud of that fact. And what does he get for it? He gets sued. That's what. So let's go to the next one, in which we can see Fair Cop saying, next week we are in chambers to agree action against LGBT Police UK and those chief constables facilitating the cartel.
Love it.
You may need to schedule some legal time, and then just twags a bunch of people who have pissed them off. So
Excellent.
We'll end it there. I had more stuff, but we don't have time for it. But it's just, we are TERF Island, and we are actually making progress.
Yeah.
So that's all good to see.
If you enjoyed that segment from the podcast The Lotus Eaters, you can always go to lotuseaters.com and subscribe to support us. We don't do any adverts. And you can also check out all of our premium content, such as our book club. This is a really excellent episode by Harry, based on a book called The Grey Lady Winked, which is all of those times where the New York Times was guilty of spreading a lot of fake news. It's a really, really good and informative look at how the New York Times is trading on a reputation it really doesn't deserve. And if you enjoy it, you can go and congratulate Harry on doing such a good job on getter.com, where he's at Harry Lotus Eater. Thanks very much.